Prost and welcome to Cityscape Brewing. I'm Dennis Fields. Today we're going to be reviewing my Oktoberfest. This is a Märzen style lager and we're going to be breaking it down, see what I like about it, what I don't like about it, what I'd probably change, and what better to do that review than in Das Boot.
It's no shoe! It's Das Boot!
Before we get started, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Check out the new merch, such as a shirt similar to this one, glassware, hats, stickers, etc. right below this video or in my page's shop. So go ahead, that's a good way to support the channel. Thanks a lot. I know what you're saying, these decorations are the worst. But enough of the dad jokes and let's get straight into the beer review. So this Oktoberfest is something that I do every year. This year I went with the same kind of base that I use for the Oktoberfest, which is dark Munich malt, Vienna, and Pilsner. And if you haven't watched my video already on making the Oktoberfest, I'm going to link that in the video description below. You can go ahead and check that out. I give the full recipe. One thing that I did differently, which I kind of change things up every year, one thing I did differently this year is I changed the hops that I use slightly and a different yeast. So usually I've used in the past an Oktoberfest from White Labs, and this year I used one from Omega, which was the first time of using this style of yeast. And so I like to change it up because I kind of know that the grain bill is really good, but if I change something like hops or yeast, or in this case both, we're going to be able to compare that year to year. Grain bill is spot on. I wouldn't change a thing of that. I think the yeast that I used from Omega this year is really good. It's a different flavor, definitely, than the White Labs gives. I think it's a little bit sweeter, but this year I used Omegas and it ended up being a little bit of a sweeter version of it, and I actually kind of like that. You get that lager flavor. It's a little bit sweeter, kind of to style, I think, more so than the White Labs one was, if I'm kind of picking it out year to year. I don't remember having that same reaction with the White Labs yeast that I did with this one when I was tasting them kind of side by side with a different commercial style version of an Oktoberfest, something that would be a little bit more traditional. I also use the Hallertau Mittelfrüh hops, Hallertau Mittelfrüh, I don't know if I'm saying that right, Hallertau Mittelfrüh hops instead of Hallertau Blanc. And one thing I didn't realize as I was getting them from my homebrew supply store is that the alpha acids between the two are very different, right? So Hallertau Blanc has more alpha acids where Hallertau Mittelfrüh has less alpha acids, and therefore there's a little bit less perceived kind of bitterness in the beer. And maybe that's why I'm kind of picking out some of the kind of sweeter notes, but overall I think it's a great beer. So let's go ahead and we'll taste it and I'll give you some of my other reactions. Number one, super clear, right? It turned out really, really good. I'm very happy with it. Obviously letting it lager at 52 degrees, and then once it hit about 10-19 or so, I raised up the temperature of my fermentation chamber to about 68 degrees. I gave it a diacetyl rest for several days just to make sure. You want to make sure, especially with this yeast, it says it right on the packet, give it a long diacetyl rest. That way you're not going to get any of those butterscotch flavors and butter popcorn flavors that you can get sometimes with lagers. So after that, after I let it sit for, I would say about 3 or 4 days, additional days at 68 degrees once it was finished up, then I cold crashed it. So I went right from my primary fermenter, I put it right into a keg and I cold crashed it down, or excuse me, I cold crashed it first to 48 degrees. Then I transferred it to a keg, purging the keg, and then I put it right on gas, and then I just let it sit for 6 weeks, okay? And so that's gonna give it that conditioning time. But during that time, there's no reason why this thing can't be carbon up at the same time. So I go ahead, I put my lagers right on gas right away. I think the pressure sometimes helps the lagering process and the conditioning process move along a little faster. And so in my case, I've had a lot of luck doing that. Let me know if you have, or if that's something you traditionally do in the comments below. But let's go ahead and give her a taste. This one has the, kind of a lager malty aroma. It's not gonna have that hop character in the aroma, because that's not that style of beer. But the head retention on this is amazing. As you can tell, it's really lacing the glass very nicely as I'm just sitting here, and it's still continuing to have a nice amount of head on the top. And when we go in for the flavor, the first thing you notice is that real nice malted flavor that you're going to get with a Märzen and an Oktoberfest. I really like this yeast just because it has that lager flavor. It's a little lighter notes, but one thing I probably would do is go back to using the Hallertau Blanc for the bitterness. Because I do like a little bit of bite in some beers, and I don't want to be overly bitter. That's not what this style is all about, but I personally, if I'm going to be drinking this style, would like it to have a little bit more of a bitterness from those bittering hops that we added at 60 minutes. So in this case, we only added 1 ounce of the Hallertau Mittelfrüh for 60 minutes, and that was it. In previous years, I've done 2 different additions, one for a 60-minute addition for bittering and then one later on. So I think that I would probably stick with getting that same bitterness that I've done in previous years, but maybe use this yeast again, because this was a nice yeast. It also didn't require me to use a starter. The Oktoberfest says right on the package that if you're going to be doing a beer and the yeast is fairly healthy, that you should not need to do a starter for anything over or under, 1070, so 1.070. So in this case, I just pitched it in. It took off like a champ. I mean, this thing really skyrocketed. It came out really, really nice. I was very, very happy with the end result. I brought it to several gatherings with friends. I've had some folks over and gotten nothing but really, really good reviews. And so if you're looking for a nice fall beer, I would recommend the Omega Oktoberfest yeast blend. That was really, really good change this year. But go ahead, check out that video in the link description and brew one yourself. So with that, Prost, cheers, and happy brewing. Thanks for watching my video. I really do appreciate it. Another couple ways that you can help support the channel is by hitting that like and subscribe button. You can also check out the merchandise in our store. I have other shirts. We got glassware, we got stickers, hats, sweatshirts, etc. Go check it out. Also, hit that video here. You know you want to.